You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
I'll take a shot. People died to fair.
It all sounds like some bad movie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Moviesucktastic. How you doing, buddy?
I'm here. Hello.
Hello. We're going to talk about Django Unchained, the new Quentin Tarantino film. Now, okay, so we're going to talk about the Quentin Tarantino film, Django Unchained. It's not a remake whatsoever. It is in name alone, the similar.
Well, it's a remake as far as it's and again, I have to say this, Quentin Tarantino. Sorry, I'll defend you on a lot of stuff, but it's not a Western because it takes place in the South. That's called a fucking Western.
It's
Shut
a Western.
Up. But it's a Western. It's again, there's nothing in common with the original series, but also it's the history of Django. When the Django film came out, it was so popular. It was one of the most violent films ever made at the time. I think the body count was like over 100, I think 130, something like that. It was so popular that dozens of fake sequels and spin-offs were created, many of them even with the name Django in the title. And there are only 2 official Django films.
Yeah, and Nero was in both of them.
Right. Those are only 2 official Django films. There are tons of other Django films.
Yeah, it was 66 and 87.
Right. So the fact that Tarantino made another Django film, it doesn't really have to have the same character in it with that scope, but it is. So I don't know if you would consider it a real Django film as far as the original films, but it is an addition to this kind of weird Django genre of movies with Django in the title.
It's very similar in the way how Bruce Lee was so famous, yet they made so many movies with Bruce Lee after he was dead, and they just changed the name of the character. Instead of Bruce Lee, it was Bruce Li.
That was the actor.
But no, it was Bruce Lee.
Okay.
They were They made so many films portraying the actor Bruce Lee, but he was dead. Right, but they billed it as that.
But as the actor as opposed to the character. So there's a slight difference.
Well, I'm just saying
it's
similar.
I'll give it to you.
I'm just saying the popularity of a franchise can do that. Where, Bruce Lee was dead. They're still making movies.
I think we're all aware that there are plenty of knockoff horrors out there. I sat through Titanic 2. I know what I'm talking about.
Titanic 2?
Dude, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of that entire film is the fire axe in the elevator.
Oh, really?
How often do you see fire axes in an elevator?
You don't.
You do. It's just, oh, thank God this is here. Yeah. Okay. And blatantly rips off the ending of The Abyss.
Was that a Netflix streaming film?
Yes, that was a Netflix streaming film.
Oh, man. We should revise, or not revise. We should revive our
I think
what the hell was it even called? I don't even remember.
We just did. We it was the Moviesucktastic home game.
Yeah, we had another name for it though. But yeah, we should revive that.
Yeah, we should after the Oscars, after we're done reviewing all these Oscar films, because Django is officially an Oscar review, and we still have not talked about the film. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay, we're getting there.
But my point, I was a huge Django fan of the original film, and I like the fact that Tarantino did this and didn't remake it, didn't try to remake the same character, but just took it's a genre homage, so to speak. So calling it Django doesn't really count as, it's fine. It's the way he did. Again, a lot of other films did the same thing, but weren't anywhere close as good to the original level.
He even used the same font and color. for the opening credits. Soundtrack too. Yeah.
First song. I'm in the theater. First song that comes up, Django. Do you really know a name? Django. It's like, that's the original song. Yes. Like right out of the bat. Then about halfway through, he starts sneaking in like hip hop and stuff. So, all right, that's good. But he keeps like the original soundtrack for like the beginning of it, and then slowly edges it in. So when we do the wacky stuff near the end, you don't mind. And I was like, okay.
If I had anything to complain about,
already we haven't reviewed the film yet. You're already complaining about it.
Well, you mentioned the music.
Yeah.
If I had anything to complain about, it would probably be the hip hop and rap music in the film.
I thought they were used very well. It was very well.
Well, I'm not saying that it wasn't used very well. I'm just saying if it didn't exist in the film, I would have been happier.
You know what? I don't like opera. I'm not a big opera fan, but I don't bitch when there's a scene with opera music in it. It's like, okay. So what's the big...
But if it's an operatic film, then why would you complain?
What if it's not an operatic film? Doesn't have to be an operatic film to have opera in it. I'm just saying, if there's music I don't like in a film, it doesn't necessarily ruin the film.
For me, it felt like it was snuck into the movie because there's a black character.
Snuck into the movie because there's a black character?
Yes.
Or used in a film about black culture because it's music from the black culture.
But not from 400 years ago.
No, but so...
I just don't think it fit. I didn't think it fit.
I thought it fit I thought it fit perfectly where I used it.
Personally, listen.
It was
You okay?
No, I'm wide.
I know. I see that.
It's where he used it in the middle of the film was a great way to break. Again, Tarantino, I think, has become an expert. I don't know. Tarantino is an expert at building tension and breaking tension without ruining it either way.
Okay.
He's really great at putting in comic scenes or light scenes or doing something just to take a really tense scene and break it so the audience doesn't become overwhelmed. Where he puts in the really rappy hip hop music in the middle of the film was a perfect place for it because one, we're at a slow point in the film where we're traveling between areas. So there's like a lull in the movie, so it takes tension away from that. And then in other parts later on, I am a fan of anachronistic music and not anarchistic, that music that rebels against the government, but anachronistic music. Anachronistic. That's right. I'm right. Anachronistic music.
Anachronistic.
Anachronistic.
Don't worry. Just move on.
Music doesn't belong in the time.
How many decibels? I can go into decibels again.
Shut up. Anachronistic.
Okay. All right.
I'm a fan of anachronistic music where it doesn't belong in the time period, like Lady Hawk or Plunkett McLean. A lot of people complained about
A Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale.
That's a big one.
I thought it worked great. So if I'm not going to bitch about Queen at the opening of a medieval scene in a movie that takes place during serfs and knights, why am I going to bitch about hip hop music in the middle of a movie that involves slaves back during the Western days?
For me personally, it's probably because I really loathe rap and hip hop.
Just a little racist, that's all.
It's not racist at all.
Just a little bit.
It's really not.
Tad.
It's really fucking not. But hey, if you want to say that, go ahead.
You don't
call me a racist.
You don't dig the music. That's all there is to it.
Hey now. I don't. I really don't. And let's put it this way. I didn't hate it in this film. I didn't hate it. I just would have liked it if it wasn't there. That's all I'm saying. And that's really the only thing that I would complain about as far as the film goes is just his music choice in a couple of scenes.
I'd have to stretch really hard to find a problem with the film. I really can't think of one complaint I had about the film. I think I had a minor complaint about Inglourious Bastards. Like one, I'm sure if I went back and combed through it, there's probably one scene where I was like, I even didn't mind Tarantino in the film because you were waiting for him to make his appearance, and not only does he put himself in as an Australian,
right?
but I'm not going to spoil anything. But his scene is what he does with himself in the scene is fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. It is very, very good.
I mean,
and he doesn't saturate the scene with himself either, which is what I liked about that scene a lot. It's just there isn't so much Tarantino that it takes away from everything around the rest of the film and Django's mission. Yeah,
I don't think he ever did that in any of the films he appeared in of his own.
No, he never really did. But I was hoping that he wasn't going. When I saw him when he came out onto the scene, I was hoping that this wasn't going to be the beginning of something like that. Because she did try to be an actor for a little while. I mean, he was more focused on doing that than directing.
Well, he just acted what he wanted to. He was having fun. I don't blame him. If I was directing my own films, I'd write myself in there somewhere.
No, I'm talking about just doing movies on his own.
And we don't bitch. We don't bitch when actors become directors. I don't see the problem with that either the other way. I never understood why people got all bent out of shape because Tarantino was doing acting. So, oh, gee.
I didn't get that bent out of shape.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just...
Okay. Could have had another film in there at the time that he thought he was an actor, but...
What do you mean?
I think there was a 3-year hiatus between Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown, where he was just trying to act.
And?
I don't know. I mean, maybe Jackie Brown would have been better.
No, I was based on Elmore Leonard novel. You're uphill from there. I'm not a fan of Elmore Leonard, so
I haven't. I've only seen Jackie Brown once, and before I really even say that, I should revisit it one more time.
I didn't care for Get Shorty. Didn't even bother watching the sequel. Read a couple Elmore Leonard books. Was not into his tone. Very dry for my taste.
Right.
I've read other people that do that kind of crime noir genre, and I've enjoyed other writers more. Charles Willeford, I think, is a great author in that vein. Thompson. Oh, damn it! There's other really good authors of that genre, like Charles Willeford, just off the top of my head, that I would back up. So I think that was doomed. And Tarantino's a huge fan of Elmore Leonard, so there's the rub.
Oh, there it is.
Now,
all right.
Speaking of Tarantino as a director, there were really nice directorial touches, and when you're watching this, you can't help but compare it to *Inglourious Basterds*, because both have that kind of epic feel. Both are period pieces. Both involve violence and warfare and retribution. So it's hard not to compare the two. I think what he did great in Django was unlike Bastards, where he would always remind us every now and then that this is a work of art. This is art. He kept reminding us about other art. With the film, with the theater and everything was artistic. Everything was very dramatic. So he was always reminding us that I'm going for art here. This is something of the time. With Django, he reminds us periodically throughout the film that this is exploitation cinema. This is Western. This is genre cinema. This is not supposed to be taken as seriously.
Right.
And it's supposed to be more fun. I love the 3 parts of the film, and I'm pretty sure there are only 3, where he does the thing where somebody says something, and the camera zips into their face and goes whoosh.
Yeah, he does that. He did it with DiCaprio. He did it with
Django.
Did he do it with Sam Jackson, or he did it with Christoph Waltz?
I think he did it with Jackson. I think he did it with Django twice.
Django twice?
I think so.
Maybe you're right. Okay.
I remember the Django one. I remember the DiCaprio one.
And I think...
And it's one of those things, too, where the first time he did it, it's like, that was cool. And then he waits so long that when he does it the second time, you don't think to yourself, what are we doing this again? It's actually fresh the second time he does it because you don't expect him to do it the second time.
Right.
And by the time he does it the third time, it's so far along, it doesn't equate in your mind that he might overdo it because he's waited so long to do it again. It's just a nice little touch that really, he just threw it in when it worked. And again, he threw it in when there was tension in the break to remind us that we're supposed to be having fun.
Right. And I think, and I hate to even say this, because I think the biggest reason why he wasn't nominated for Best Director is because of the way the film is done. They probably thought that, well, nothing new here, nothing to see here. It's a good film or a great film. It's directed well, but we don't see anything that's groundbreaking. And I think that's the wrong take. I think
Who said that?
Because,
Who said that?
I'm saying that.
Why?
I'm trying to interpret what they might be thinking of why they decided not to nominate him for Best Director.
Because it's a Western and a bloody one. It's exploitation cinema.
So what?
It's exploitation cinema. The only reason they put it in Best Picture was because they have to fill like 9 or 10 slots now. Because apparently it's not a hard 10. And again, they only did that because of Avatar, so now they're stuck with it. Hollywood is not going to recognize certain types of films. Avatar was only in there because it made $1 bajillion. It's right. still like a sci-fi fantasy that they're not going to accept as a Best Picture film. Sci-fi is the only one that gets away with it now and then. Horror films do not get Oscars. Majority.
Nope.
Across the field. I mean, I'm sure there's an exception.
Well, I'm sure they get the technical stuff.
Right.
That's really where it goes. And Silence of the Lambs is as close to a horror film as you'll ever get. And that's really it.
And that's thriller. Yeah, exactly. So, and the one thing they're not going to give an Oscar to is a film that is an homage to violent exploitation cinema of the 70s, especially in the year of the gun killing spree.
I guess so.
And Obama taking away our guns. Right? No way they're gonna idolize a film with one of the best, bloodiest gun battles ever.
They're really good.
Oh,
they're really good.
That he just, I mean, and there's Tarantino. Say what you want. He knows. I mean, there's violence throughout the film, but it's sporadic. Mm-hmm. It's quick. It's some of it's a little stylized, but for the most part, it's brutal and honest. And then everything's building up to this big showdown at the end. And so when this one showdown occurs, he just suddenly just pulls the plug and cranks it up to 11. And through the entire shootout, the entire scene, you just can't believe it keeps going and keeps getting bloodier and more violent. And it just, I think at least 5 times it was like, oh, jeez, like verbally have to say something. It's so fucking amazing that he takes it so far. And because he knows at that point, you need that. And he holds off, he teases the audience for so long. And there's violence here, There's that Mandingo fight that's really, harsh.
And just barehanded, just barefisted, just bloody.
Really, and that's the one thing I gotta say is the film. He knows when to have fun with the violence and when to say, okay, this is brutal shit because things were fucked up back then.
Right.
And this is the kind of shit that was acceptable. Everything is said. It's not like we're watching when they have that scene where DiCaprio and James Franco, the guy that played Django, is the other guy.
James Franco, Jamie Foxx.
No, the original Django, sir.
Oh, Franco Nero.
Nero. I meant to say Franco Nero.
Of course you did.
I shut up. I'm gonna roll. Leave me alone. When Frank Nero, the original Django, is next to him, and they're betting on, and they're sitting in this living room area, and in front of them 2 half-naked, big meaty black slaves are fighting to the death, literally to the death in front of them, and it's hard to get. We're used to seeing scenes like this in films. What Tarantino tries to get across in the scene through the casualness going on in the background is this is not 2 crime lords having this death fight in their lair. This was socially acceptable. These were 2 rich people doing what rich people did, and there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing against the law with it. There was nothing. It wasn't even frowned upon.
No.
And that's the point of that scene. And not only is that what he's good at, because again, when you have the slave scenes, when you have scenes of torture or abuse that are historically important because they're historically, maybe not 100% historically accurate, but the shit went down the same way.
Right.
Right. There was that kind of disregard for, that scene where they set the dogs on them and tear them apart. Yeah, that never happened before. I mean, of course it did.
Right, all the time. Yeah,
because there weren't people like DiCaprio. But I'm sidetracking because not only does he do that, so when you're watching that scene, you're totally taken by that. It's brutal and holy shit, this is, and it feels real. He knows how to do what he did in Bastards at the beginning, where you have that long talk about how the Jews are the inferior race and everything, and then during this really, really solid, serious, drawn-out, tense moment, he pulls out Sherlock Holmes pipe.
Right. Yes.
And,
exactly.
You can feel the tension.
And it works.
Yeah,
it works.
In the theater, you can feel the tension break is this low murmur of what the fuck's with the pipe. And he does the same thing to a lesser extent in that scene with the Mandingo fighting, because there's a serious thing, and then it's over, and everybody's quiet, everything's serious. And then DiCaprio comes up, and he's drinking out of a fucking coconut.
Yeah.
I do love my, make that drink for me. And he brings it up, and it's the coconut with like the metal base attached to it. And
right.
it just takes you out of that, and it's still real because it's still believable for the character.
Mm-hmm.
It just helps alleviate that tension of that we just watched, a degrading experience, but we watched it for a reason because this is was reality at a point in our history.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed in the trailer, there are a lot of scenes in the trailer that you don't see in the movie, which makes me believe that there is going to be an uncut or unrated extended edition of this movie when it's released.
Okay, I disagree totally.
You think so?
Well, here's why. Because when you have a director's cut or an extended cut, it's because things were they had to cut things out of the film because the time they had, for time constraints and things like that. This 3 hour and 40 fucking minute film, isn't it?
No, it's not. No, it's 2 hours and 39 minutes.
It's a 3 hour fucking movie.
It's 2 hours and 39 minutes.
If you're watching Which Hour's 3 hour fucking movie.
I'm not saying the extended cut's going to be ridiculous. It could be 10, 15 minutes. I'm just saying there's more to see, which I'm looking forward to.
There's more to see, but it's not going to be an extended cut. There'll be deleted scenes added on the DVD. I think this is his cut.
You think so? Okay.
How many extended cuts has he come out with his other stuff? Pulp Fiction, I don't think had an extended cut. Did it?
You know what? You're right. I don't think he's ever done an extended cut before.
Dogs didn't have an extended cut. Kill Bill, despite everybody's clamoring for the whole bloody affair, he never did a long cut of those two together. There was never an extended cut. He's had outtakes or deleted scenes in a couple of the DVDs, I think, especially like Dust Till Dawn he didn't direct.
Yeah.
But
I have a fan edit of Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, and right, and I would love to see what he really does with it. I'd like to compare the two to see how close this fan edit actually came to his original vision. Because from what because what did you tell me not that long ago that it's slated that there's going to be a Kill Bill 3? It says it's in pre-production on if you go to IMDb, it says Kill Bill 3 is in pre-production.
But
I think they'll officially do, unless Kill Bill 3 is just ties in the first and second to the third, he'll do a whole bloody affair cut when Kill Bill 3 becomes available on DVD and Blu-ray.
Maybe. I mean, I don't. It seems like he's back in a movie making mode again, and I got a feel. I'm just guessing because obviously I don't know the man personally, but I have a feeling that he's going to be in movie making mode for a while, and I don't think he's going to go back and revisit stuff like special editing things until after he
is done with his career, so to say.
Not even done with his career, but takes a break from the big filmmaking.
It's entirely possible. He has gone on record as saying he wants to make 10 movies and then retire and just write.
Again, I fucking hate when they say shit like that. Just make the fucking movies, and then when you stop, we'll know it's over. You don't announce your. I hate when they announce shit like that. Again, it's like it's so self-important too. So I'm only gonna make 10 films. So no one was begging you for 5. What the fuck? Thank you for the movies, but.
Now this is his 7th movie.
I think 7th or 8th. I don't know.
I think it's his 7th movie, which according to him would mean he'd only have 3 more. Which, judging by how often he makes a movie, that's another 9 years. Here's
my prediction. He after a certain point, he stopped just doing movies, and he started doing homages. I'm counting Grindhouse as one of them because
Death
he
Proof.
did half of that.
Yeah,
He
Death
did it.
Proof.
Yeah, yes, he did his horror film homage with that. Before that, he did Kill Bill, which was his martial arts homage,
Right.
which ended up being two films only because his first film was 5 hours long.
Yeah.
So then he did his war film homage. This is his Western homage, even if he doesn't want to call it a fucking Western. So I think he's going through all of the genres and
What's
just
next?
and doing his own genre homages. The only thing I could say is Death Proof was really more of a it was
70s.
more of a 70s action film homage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm predicting that at some point he's going to do a horror film homage, either if not like a supernatural horror film of whatever time period, but at least of like a real serial killer or real like Glass House on the Left type homage, because Death Proof starts out like that, but it really turns out being an homage to like stuntmen.
Yeah.
And so it's
I want to agree with you, but that guy's ear just got cut off.
or you might even look at the other things he could go out of
making him eat it.
He could go out of left field and do like an homage to like exploitational comedies of the 70s.
He could. I want to agree with that, but deep down, something inside of me makes me think that he wants that Best Picture real bad, and I think he'll still do what he wants to do, and he could do a horror film homage. But if he knows that they're never going to make a horror film a Best Picture, he won't do it.
They're not going to give him a Best Picture, and he knows it. He knows it. He knows they're not. Nowhere in that demented brain of his is he delusional where he thinks someday they'll give the guy who did Pulp Fiction and Bastards and Kill Bill, no way will they ever give this guy an Oscar.
They have to respect him enough to
don't.
consider it. I think they do.
They really don't. What they'll do is if he makes enough good films, that he'll get a posthumous Oscar, or they'll give him a Lifetime Achievement Award afterwards, where they're going to say, well, he did so much stuff, we don't have to really, go into detail. But I honestly, they don't give Oscars to people like him. They don't give Oscars to people who make violent films, who go for. He's outside of the legitimate theater in a sense, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's nice that we have people like him that are making entertaining fucking movies.
Yeah.
Richard Bay. Richard Bay.
Michael Bay.
Thank you. What the fuck is my problem today? What the fuck is my problem today?
Richard Bay. Fucking Richard Bay. Didn't he have a fucking like Jerry Springer type show back in the day?
Yes. And
he did, right? Yeah, okay.
And then he went on to do political talk radio, which he was actually very good in that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, and I agree with all of that. I think he's going to be, or at least try and be in Oscar mode.
Sam Raimi get an Oscar?
Sam Raimi will never get an Oscar.
Neither.
There is a director that will never get an Oscar.
Tarantino is never going to get an Oscar unless it's like a Lifetime Achievement or a posthumous one. Again, he's making good films, but not the kind of films they want to hold up as cinematic achievements. It ain't gonna happen. Django is a great film; they know it, but they're not gonna hold up a western, a violent western, with multiple words throughout the film.
He has no shot this year, just based on that alone, which is unfortunate.
But it's not gonna hapen.
It's fucking 2013. How close-minded are we as a country? It's insane.
People are fucking stupid. I mean, how much money did Paranormal Activity 4 make? Oh my god, I watched that.
Oh.
Holy! I need to do a mini review of that before we stop this episode because I've got a vent on that one.
Really? Okay.
Holy shit! Anyway, but I've been talking too much about a lot of stuff. I mean, as far as Django goes, Django Unchained, I should say, because Django's playing in the background. Really, I put it just below Inglourious Basterds. What about you?
I agree. I was thinking that the whole time. I was saying to myself that Inglourious Basterds and Pulp Fiction are still better, but not by much. He's really turned it on in the last 7, 8 years. He is on his fucking game.
Well,
yeah, Death Proof. That was almost like, even though that's a full movie, it's a 90-minute movie that counts on his resume. That was so much an homage that, much like the films from the 70s, it was, it was too much like an homage. It was too close, and in doing that they just made it boring.
I have got it. I know what he's going to do. Maybe not next, but he's going to do it. Again, the reason he's cranking out these great films now is I think in his mind he has a plan. This is his epic series. This is his
trilogy.
Trilogy, if you want, where Terry Gilliam, like if you look at his films, he had his whole the trilogy of like Time Bandits, Brazil,
Fisher King,
Baron Munchausen, not Fisher King, different series here. Which Fisher.
Oh, I see. I get you. Okay.
Well, Fisher King
fantasy.
Fisher King kind of falls in that too, as far as like a Don
Quixote
kind of thing. But he had his whole. If you can hold up his works of film and say this is like a certain theme throughout it. Tarantino's theme for his epic masterpiece, so to speak, his body of work is genres, like I said before. Death Proof, whether or not that's going to count as a horror film will remain to be seen, but let's call it that right now. Again, horror films or stunt film, what have you,
supernatural,
Western, war film, martial arts film. I guarantee. I don't know what that was. Talk to the hand. I guarantee his next one of the ones he's going to do next, Spy.
Oh.
Especially since he wanted to do Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Remember, he was
that is very interesting point.
Why else would he want to consider Casino Royale? Because he was going to put that into his vision. It was going to be his Bond film. His 70s, his exploitation, or his 70s spy genre, as it were. I guarantee that's going to be one of the films he does coming up. Whether he tries to go Bond or go like in like Flynn. Or Flint? It's Flint,
In
right?
like Flint. In like Flint.
Flint. I'm thinking of the Flint series, which was a spin-off of the Fletch series. I think that's going to be one of them. I put that down now as my prediction. My camera doesn't like me all of a sudden.
Yeah, there's not many genres left that he could do, I would imagine. So, yeah, if that is what he wants his body of work, his masterpieces to be, then yeah, that's a very good point.
Again, unless he goes to like your teen comedy.
I just don't see him doing it.
I know, but again, when he did Kill Bill, I remember being very apprehensive. It's like, what the fuck is this? I
remember when we went to the theater to see it together, and I remember we bought our tickets. We're in the lobby, we're getting our popcorn, soda, what have you, and you leaned over to me and you said, and this is an exact quote, "This movie better be fucking violent."
Yeah.
Because he was, it was on the fence about what he was going to do. I think, did he do Jackie Brown and then Kill Bill?
Yes.
It was a 7-year layoff, right?
Something like that. Well, he did other stuff in the meantime. But,
he was doing some side stuff.
But everything up until that point he was attached to was gangster related. Was a crime, gangster, action, drama, and this was, in a way, you knew he liked this kind of stuff. It was in everything. Yep. It was mentioned in other films, but it was a departure as far as like, okay, gangster films are safe. Violent, cop drama, whatever, are safe. This isn't safe. This is something that no one else is doing. And when he did it, there was the apprehension of, okay, he's either flipped it or he's going to do something great. And turned out he did something great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Volume 1 and Volume 2, even though everything was made all at the same time, there's different tones to both films. The first film is more action-packed, oriented. There's a lot more going on, whereas the second one is a little more dialogue-driven, and it's more dramatic, but still has its scenes, of action and whatnot. But they are almost like two different films, but they have their own styles, and it works. Really works.
And that makes sense from a filmmaker's point of view. If you have to split a film like that into two, you're not, if you can't really make them even. So what you want to do is you want to front load it with a lot of cool stuff, and then the other stuff on the second half, even if it's not as action filled, is still going to be quality stuff. So then you can have people come back and say, well, it wasn't as good as the first, because you're always going to hear that. So at least make sure you put all your best stuff in the first film, because no matter what you do with that first film, how often does anybody say the second film was better than the first? And please don't say fucking Godfather.
I wasn't going to.
Okay, because I hear that a lot, and I don't care.
But I am now. No, if actually and this is really, no one has to really go by this, but the IMDb rating for Kill Bill 2 is actually higher than Kill Bill 1.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, not by much. Not by much, but it is higher.
Oh.
I think a lot of people respected what he did in Volume 2, where it was more dramatic, it was more dialogue-driven, and it still was interesting and good. Because it could have went the other way completely.
Sure.
Now,
talking about Django Unchained again, the one thing... Oh, now I can finally watch myself on live stream.
Oh, good.
Am I syncing properly on your end?
My end, you're fine.
Okay, then I'm probably good. That's cool. I just wanted to see if it worked because live stream sucks balls. Django. There's not much I want to discuss about the film itself, because this is a film that I honestly don't want to spoil anything. There were so many...
Yeah, there's a lot of little things, sure.
There are so many surprises, little surprises, and fun moments throughout the film. I dare not even allude to any of them. I even didn't even like mentioning Tarantino being in the film, but I had to for what we're talking about. The film is filled up with so many pleasantries, so many moments where you just, if you're not laughing or gasping, you're just smiling because it's cool. He manages that so well throughout the film, and manages to, you know what? If I had any problem with the film, it would be like the very ending.
The very, very ending?
Very, very ending. The horse. That's all I'll say.
Oh.
and that very minor quibble. Very minor. But
yeah.
But I don't think it's bad. I don't think it ruins the film. I just wouldn't.
But if we were going to talk and give away, I think I could defend it.
Oh, no, I'm sure you could. And I could defend it too. For me, it was just, it's not what I wanted. That doesn't mean it wasn't wrong. It's like for me, it's like punch. I'm just going to stop. It's like Punch Drunk Love for me. It didn't go where I wanted it to go. It's still a good film. But I just felt slightly disappointed because I was writing a different film in my head during the first half.
Okay.
So I wrote my own ending in my head before the ending came up. So it was a slight letdown because it didn't end the way I would have liked it to.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt the film. But yeah, there's just what do you talk about in the film without giving anything away? No,
it just, if you talk about one thing, it might ruin another thing.
Right. I will say this. There's a major have you seen there's this interview with Tarantino where he actually called on a writer who had complained about an aspect of the film that they said they didn't buy it, and he actually did an interview with them and like debated it with them, but didn't like say they were wrong. So it's a good point.
What do you remember what that entailed? Would we be giving something away?
The rationale that what happens in the film that's not giving away too much is that Django is rescued by what's the doctor's name again?
Schultz.
He's saved by Schultz to help him track down people that he knows, because Schultz is a bounty hunter, and then he brings him into the fold as a bounty hunter. And this is kind of in the trailer. And then at a certain point, they try to find somebody that Django knew before.
Right.
Now, in later in the film, it involves Leonardo DiCaprio. In order to try to get this person from DiCaprio, Schultz devises this scam to trick him into giving them the person or leading them to the person.
Right.
And the reviewer complained that the scam didn't make sense. And what I loved about the interview is that Tarantino comes out and he explains that for the Schultz character, the scam made perfect sense, and here's why. And
based in the mind of the Schultz character.
Yes.
This is a great plan.
And it's something where the minute I read it, it's like Tarantino's not just good with pacing and stuff, he's good with characters.
Right.
And when he creates the Schultz character and the Django character, their motivation, things they do in the film that seem stupid or seem off, totally are within their character based upon how that character sees the world, has been treated by the world, and interacts with the world.
Okay.
And that's what makes it so much better of a film. That just reading one line from Tarantino where he says that, it's how he thinks, and then you look at Schultz throughout the whole film. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a given when you're watching it because you're not really thinking too much about it. But if you go back and try to break down aspects of the film, Schultz's character is this way, and it's really carried on throughout it. It's an integral part of the character, and you don't even think about it. It's just I know it's not going to win Best Picture. I really hope it wins.
No,
screenplay.
it won't. I think this year.
I really hope it wins screenplay. Is what I'm saying.
Was it nominated for original screenplay?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went over this last episode.
I think you're right. Very quickly, Kill Bill Volume 2 over Volume 1. 8.2 for Volume 1, 8.0 for Volume 2.
Oh,
it used to be the polar opposite of that.
It's like a fraction.
But it's like 300,000 users voting on that. So
it's still
it's
know.
Let's see. I think he is nominated, but I gotta look. Let's see. Best original screenplay is, drum roll please.
Now, did you see this bullshit that they did?
He's nominated.
Did you see this bullshit that they pulled the Django Unchained slave action figures?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't realize they had slave action figures for the movie.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Apparently, eBay won't allow them to. eBay has actually banned them being sold on eBay.
This country, it's just one gigantic pussy.
A bunch of African American advocacy groups squawked at the idea of having slave action figures, which I don't understand.
Now.
So they pulled them, and so now these are like rare collectibles, like worth. People are trying to buy them for.
Now, is it Django, the bounty hunter, and then Django the slave? Are there two action figures, or is it just Django the slave action figure? Is it just Django and Broomhilda? I mean, what is it? Because if it's just the two of them, then I stand by how this country is just a giant pussy, even more. But if it's like a whole chain gang of slaves,
not even. Yeah. It's just black people. I mean, the ones I'm looking at right now is Schultz, Broomhilda, Butch, right. Candy, Steven, Django. It's I mean,
it's the cast. It's the movie.
That's it.
That's all there is, right?
I never looked into it further, so I'm trying to find out why the black advocacy groups were so pissed off that they had. Why? Probably because of the Samuel L. Jackson doll. That's probably why.
What is Leonardo DiCaprio, he was interviewed and saying that he had a lot of trouble, making the film in the beginning because of how often he had to say the word nigger. And Sam Jackson and Jamie Foxx, he went to them and said, listen, I'm having some issues with, making this movie so far. And they sat him down, and Sam Jackson was quoted as saying, it's like, enough of that shit, motherfucker. Let's make this movie like it's any other Tuesday. And you know what? It's like Sam Jackson has zero problems with any of this shit. Sam Jackson is just laid back. He has fun. He doesn't care if Quentin Tarantino, has him say the word 50 times in a scene. He has confidence it's going to be fine. He has confidence in Tarantino, and you have to be.
All right.
You have to be.
I'm going to attack this, and this is almost almost fodder for.
Is this Strangers?
It's almost strangers, but it is all entertainment related, so I want to talk about it here.
Is this about the slave action figures?
Well, it's the fact that the civil rights groups came out and they complained that these action figures were trivializing slavery when none of them are what you were saying. Is like, well, are they like slaves with chains on them and stuff? No, it's all the main characters, and they're dressed up like they were in the house. The Samuel Jackson one's wearing the suit. Brumhilda's got the gown thing on. And so they're complaining that it's trivializing the slavery era, and it's bullshit. It's gonna be.
They're a bunch of fucking asses.
Now again, I'm a progressive guy. I'm pro Obama. I'm pro civil rights. I'm pro women's rights. I'm pro gay rights. I'm as left as you can get without being commie. But every group crosses the line, and this reminds me of back in the, I want to say 90s.
Okay.
There was a pilot for a TV show. It was a ripoff of the Blackadder TV series. The plot, I forget the name of it, but you might remember what I'm talking about. The plot was it was a black servant in the Lincoln White House. And the gist of it was just like Blackadder, Blackadder season 2 and 3. The black servant was the brains, and Lincoln was an idiot. And so the black servant was the only one holding the whole place together. It was a comedy that poked fun at the at Lincoln and everything, where the black person, the black man, was the smartest person in the room and was manipulating everything, and the comedy was derived from that. The opening scene of it was the opening shot, and of course they hear about this, and civil rights groups started complaining about it without having seen the film, the pilot, without having seen it. Then, when the pilot came out, the opening shot, and this takes place during the Civil War, mind you. Opening shot is like a silhouettes against the red sky. Talk about the Civil War, and one of the things you see is a silhouette of people being hanged. And of course, the civil rights groups freaked out, saying you got silhouettes of black people hang. There were silhouettes. That's why they were black. I mean, they hung people besides blacks back then, especially for trees and that kind of thing. It was a fucking war. They flipped out, said that they were trivializing the exploitation of blacks from that time period, and this was an anti-black show. They pulled the fucking show. I've seen the pilot. It wasn't a good show, but the only thing it wasn't. It not only wasn't it good, it wasn't racist in the least, and it wasn't. There was nothing negative, stereotype-wise. It was all positive. And I hear blinking, so I think someone's telling me the name of the show. The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. That's it.
I've never heard of it.
I've seen the pilot. It was.
I'm trying to help you out with the title, and I just never heard of it.
Well, that's because I think it aired once, and then they pulled it. But my point is, same shit going on here. Well, they're so pissed off about this film that they can't do anything about it because they have like Samuel L. Jackson backing it, and even though Spike Lee's giving them shit about it, who gives a fuck? No one listens to Spike Lee anymore. So what?
I think even Jamie Foxx said, "I respect Spike Lee, but he needs to shut up."
Yeah. I mean, again, the adults are in the room now. Spike Lee was great at getting attention through controversy. Not saying he wasn't a good filmmaker, but he got his attention through controversy, and it's almost just like he's trying to get more attention through controversy when there's no controversy. It's just a film,
right?
Which we've heard plenty. We've heard plenty of times in Spike Lee's film. Just because it's a white guy making films with, and it doesn't mean it's not good.
Right. Well, Spike Lee's had a problem with Quentin Tarantino all the way back to Pulp Fiction.
Spike Lee's had a problem with all white people since all the way back to Do the Right Thing.
His childhood.
And I'm not saying I'm not justified in that.
Well,
but even there's a certain point you got to pull back, and again with the civil rights groups now coming out and saying we have to yank these toys. And again, the people say, oh, let's pull the toys. Can everybody just calm the fuck down?
Ain't gonna happen. That's just the country we live in, and it gets worse every single year. Spike Lee has also gone on record to say that he will not see Django Unchained out of respect for his ancestors. I wish I had the audio, but that's word for word. I will not see a Django Unchained out of respect for my ancestors.
I will. Django.
Do
you know the plot of this? Django. Who's in the coffin? His name is Django.
All right. Do we want to go ahead and end the?
Yeah, let's end this.
End the show.
But again, please go see Django.
Go, please. Yeah. You know what? It's still making money, pretty decent money. At one point, Tarantino's films they're blockbusters. Maybe not blockbusters, but they make close to $200 million a movie now. He's become extremely popular again
because they're good.
They're great, but you know when he did his Jackie Browns, even when he did the Kill Bills, he did Death Proof, profitable. Kill Bill, okay, they made back their money, big time, but you know most of the time, most of his films they do okay, but they've since gotten to the point of where you go see a Tarantino film, it's an event.
Well, because they're
you
epics.
Make sure you see it in the theater. Yeah,
because he's making epic films, but they're epic, but they don't feel like epic. Like when you go to watch these goddamn epics they make now, like Lord of the Rings shit. I mean, it's like, okay, all right, I get it. But, you know, miles and miles of orcs and everything, and 15-minute preview and this and that, and now so much CGI that you could choke a fucking golem with it. But when you watch Django and Bastards, they're epics, right. But they're not epics in shit thrown at the screen. They're epics in the thematic scope of the film.
Right.
And I think that's the true. I mean, epics used to mean something, and now it's just how big can we make it look on the screen. He's not about making it big. He's about making it real and making it emotionally engaging, and that's what makes Django and Bastards epic.
Agreed. All right, everybody. Let's give everyone information. All right. Information.
We need that clip now from Prisoner.
I know. I got it. I gotta get it. I know.
You won't get it.
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 99. We are one episode away from our 100th. We, like Scott said in the beginning of the show, we have absolutely no fucking idea what we're doing. We don't even know what we're reviewing yet. We really don't even know what we're reviewing. I have no idea. It could just be a film in the background. Who the fuck knows?
No matter what, we're going to review at least one Oscar film because we have to get them all in before the Oscars.
This is true.
So,
we'll see.
Anyway,
if you want to email us, you can at themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com. If you want to leave us voicemail, you can at 908-514-4470. Go to iTunes and download all of our episodes there. Leave us reviews. And you can go to our website, moviesucktastic.com, and you can download or you can listen to our podcast there as well.
And my parting words for this episode, Christopher Landon, go fuck yourself.
Christopher Landon?
He's the writer of Paranormal Activity 4.
Oh, okay, yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you. And fuck you for what you're doing with 5, whatever it is, because I know you're going to... Goodbye.
Goodbye. Talk to you next week.